Welcome to the SwimSwam podcast. I'm today's host, Coleman Hodges, and joining us today, two-time Olympic champion, five-time world champion, seven-time European champion. We've got James Guy. James, how's it going, man?
Hey, buddy. Yeah, good to be back. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. My first question is this. When are you coming back to the United States? One of the best practices I've ever been to was at a beach in Santa Monica. You were there. We did a great workout. I thought we had a great time together. And I think you're here to announce today that you're leaving Bath to come train in the US because you love it here so much. Just lay it on us. That's what you're going to say, right?
Of course it is. That's I can't. That was like 2018, right? When that happened.
That was a while ago.
That was a while ago,
Yeah.
but that was like so spontaneous. That was like my holiday at the end of the summer, and then somehow ended up doing a session at USC, training on the beach with Dave Salo and Chase Block, and then obviously you were there as well. So yeah, really interesting. But yeah, I'm definitely not coming back to train over in the States. I might be doing a few camps over there at some point, but yeah, I'm not coming to the United States to train, unfortunately.
Fine. I'm not bitter. I can handle it. So you are leaving Bath though. You found a new training home. Tell me how this came to be, and tell me why your new home is a good fit for you now.
Yeah, so I've not been kind of happy with the way I swam at the Worlds. It wasn't really what I was expecting. And I think the year before as well, it's just not where I wanted to be, considering how good Tokyo was. So I decided to leave the Bath Centre and I've moved back to Millfield. So now I'm at the Millfield Performance Centre as well. It was kind of a very spontaneous decision, but I knew coming back in from the summer, it's been on my mind for a while. And I remember walking back into the Bath and I was like, I wasn't happy. I wasn't really where I wanted to be. And I just can't take that risk of going the same time again. Next year, what I did in the summer, I've been 51 for the last 2 years. And for me, swimming in our sporting careers is about no regrets. And it's about being selfish. That's how the best guys in the world, they always are. And it's my career. I want to look back in 10 years and I don't want to have that, what if that, what if this could have happened, because the mental and psychological effect of that can be, detrimental for a long time. So yeah, I moved back to Millfield. I started last Monday. There's about 9 of us in the group, including obviously Matt Richards is there now as well. So yeah, it's a lot different than Bath. Obviously, I love Bath to bits. When I was there, I had some great times and it was amazing. I met some great friends for life. And obviously David McNulty was like a dad. It was a very hard decision. But I feel like I just want to put myself first and, give it one last go and see where it takes me.
It is funny that you're back at Millfield, which is where you were before, moving to Dave McNulty and in Bath. But you've been there for, I believe, 7 years now, which is, people kind of say, oh, he's been there for so long, but like that's a really long time, And like you said, when you feel like you need a change, it's kind of about taking that leap of faith. Did you look at other programs, or were you pretty sure that Millfield was the one that you were going to go back to?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously being at Bath for 7 years, it's a long time. You kind of get used to your environment. Obviously, I was with Dave for 4 years, and I think going into Tokyo with him, he was the right man for that. And I'm eternally grateful. Got the gold medal. I always wanted, well, 2 of them on a world record. And obviously it was a hard decision, but yeah, the Millfield place where I'm at now, there was no other choice really of where I wanted to go. I didn't want to go to Loughborough. Obviously, Stirling is a really long way away, and their kind of model is completely different. And obviously seeing what Matt did in the summer and how much he dropped from the year before to, what Ryan did with him was, so impressive. And now obviously he's the fastest in the world for the 200 free. I was like, well, clearly they're doing something right down there. And my old youth coach, who is now the director of swimming there, I spoke to, I've always spoken to him about every race I've done for a long time. And, it kind of came from the decision of, listen, this is about having no regrets. And that's where it kind of started. And obviously I met Ryan, this is all my own terms, wanted to see what he had to say. And I called him for a coffee, and, I was blown away by what I had heard. And it's about, like I said before, having no regrets going in. And yeah, I think Millfield was the only place for me that I would have looked at. I didn't look anywhere else. Obviously, I've known the environment. I know what it's like. It isn't like we're swimming with kids at all, because people do think that. It's not like swimming with high schoolers. It's very performance based, and it's kind of what and I kind of needed. I just needed that different change of stimulus and environment, and that's where we are today.
Yeah. So moving forward, your kind of bread and butter events for the last few years have been that 200 free, 100 fly, and then with the focus on the relays for Britain as well. Is that where you think your focus will be heading into 2024 in these Paris Olympics?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think that's where I've kind of realised where I'm at now, and those are my events going forward. Obviously, 100 fly will be the main thing, but obviously the 200 free is still for the 4x200. I was 145 in summer. It's not where the work that I've done and I've put in, I feel like I deserve to go faster than that. I should be going quicker than that. 44 low, 44 mid, and it just wasn't there. But yeah, based off my trial swims. But yeah, I think going forward, it's obviously them two events are the main things for me. And obviously that comes with the relays as well. So hopefully we can bring them times down and hopefully get back to where I want to be.
Yeah. Let's look back at these 2023 worlds, because I want your perspective on your swims as well as some of Britain's swims. Just starting the meet, that 400 free relay was a heartbreak for me, just because I've seen you guys rise through the ranks, and it's like it was all there, and then that DQ in prelims. Just as a leader of the team, how did you help the guys move through that?
I think when I saw it, we watched it on the laptop in the dining hall. I think because it was quite late, I think we were having lunch, and I think I was sat with some of the Australians, the guys who weren't doing the 4x1, some of the boys in there. I think there was Ollie Morgan, maybe someone else, and obviously we saw Lewis Burrows do his job. Matt, I think Duncan was in there as well, and obviously Jacob. And I saw Matt finish and Jacob dive, and I was like, oh shit, sorry for swearing. This is really tight. And then obviously we saw the DQ, and we were kind of a bit stunned for probably 15, 20 minutes. We kind of like, what were you doing? It's kind of we always say before you go down, be careful when you takeovers. But at the end of the day, he's a young lad, he's learning, he's up and coming, he's hungry, and I think he just wanted to prove himself. It's a shame, but unfortunately these things happen. It's very, very rare you get the perfect relay race. Someone's going to have a bad finish or a bad start or very, very tight. Like, for example, in Rio, Dan Wallace was negative 0.03. So, we were so close to getting DQ'd, and I would have lost another medal. So I think it's just one of them things. I think because we knew we had a chance of medaling, if not winning the event. I think when that happened, obviously we were all a bit annoyed at the start, but he obviously didn't mean to do it on purpose at all. He isn't like that. He's a good lad. But I just think that it just kind of threw the British team off on day one a little bit. But once it was done, it was parked. I think going forward down for the relays, it was just like, right, make sure you're safe. Takeovers are always safe. I think for the 4x2, we were I was 0.39. I think Tom Dean was 0.38. I think Matt was 0.38. So we were all just trying to be really aware of what we were trying to do. And just consciously just make sure the hand is on the wall first. But yeah, we're a bit upset originally, go back to the question, but it is what it is. But we're mature enough and old enough now to say, listen, these things happen, and we move forward and we park it, and we'll deal with it at the end of the meet.
And so then moving forward into that 4x2, as you mentioned, it was the first time that that quartet had been together since winning in Tokyo.
Yeah.
Were you guys feeling confident because of that, or were you feeling a little pressure to, perform and to reclaim your gold from last year's Worlds?
Yeah, I feel like, obviously last year at Worlds, we didn't have Duncan. Obviously, Tom Dean had a great split. He was 143. I led off in the 146. This was last year, and the two boys, Joe Litchfield and Jacob, had great middle splits. But yeah, I feel like this year was just about trying to win. That was it. Just try and get your hand on the wall first and just win the race. We knew America were a lot better. They were going to be fast. I think from the guys who had the 200 free on day 3, I think the final, they had like 2 or 3 days off in between, so they could come in and they'd be ready to go. Well, obviously, look at Duncan, Tom, Dean, and Matt. They had the 100 free in between, the 2 IM. So we were going a little bit tired. I had the 100 fly that morning. So it kind of worked into the Americans' favour of how our guys, we were going into the event a bit tired. Especially on day 6 of the meeting, everyone's probably swam, well, our guys have swum probably 6 or 7 times. So your legs aren't quite as fresh. But yeah, I feel like, the plan, what we've realised is that none of us have ever done a 4x2, and none of us have always been on it properly. Look at the way we swam in Tokyo. Obviously, Tom Dean led off in a 45.7 and he won it in a 44.2. Obviously, it takes a lot out of you doing it individually, then trying to go again. It was his like 4th or 5th race in a row. But yeah, I think the splits we had were really, really good. And I always think we can progress that onto next year. And I think we can go a lot faster than that. I really do.
You mentioned the individual 200 freestyle, which I'm just mesmerized by Britain. Tokyo, top 2.
Yeah.
Worlds in Budapest last year, Dino gets in for the bronze, and
Yeah.
this year top 2, and it's not even the same 2 guys as in Tokyo, right?
No.
I mean that, and then you guys go on to win that 4x2, but it's 3 days later in the meet. What gives, man? I mean, what's your secret? Tell me the 200 free mojo, because right now Britain's just on a roll in that event.
I feel like, where, obviously I was winning the event in bloody 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. And then obviously Duncan took over from 2018, 2019, 2020. And then 2021, it was Dina who came involved, 2021, 2022. And then obviously Matt's coming into the picture now as well. So it's kind of like a rolling effect. There's obviously myself. There's a few guys up and coming, Joe Litchfield, Jack McMillan. It's becoming so much more competitive. Everyone wants to be part of that 4x200. But it just shows how much the event has come on, and to be part of that relay now. And obviously, it's my 3rd time running the event and been on the team. I think my first 4x2 was 2013 in Barcelona, and to be still part of that team, I think there's more out of me to give for them boys. Yeah, we're clearly doing something right. We don't have the depth America have got. They've got so many guys who can go 45 mid to 46 mid, and they just keep going and going and going. It's stacked, where I feel like we've got probably our top 5 are really, really good. And then it's kind of a bit of a setback from that kind of depth that we've got in that range. But it's, at the end of the day, you need 4 boys who can do the race. That's it. That's where it comes down to. And hopefully probably maybe 2 or 3 for the morning swim, and rest as many as you can. But yeah, we're definitely doing something right. I think I don't know why we're so good at it. It's just come from there. But I feel like the 100 free is kind of following on in that trend as well. And obviously it was shown in the 4x1 at Worlds that Britain can do the 4x1. We've shown it in 2019. We came 4th. I was in that, and I don't even do the 100 free. So it shows that it's getting there, and I think we'll be a contention and again next year in Paris.
Is that 4x1 something that you are looking at, out of the corner of your eye as hoping to contribute to?
Yeah, I feel like, if the way I look at it is, if I can go, 44 high or 45 low in the 200 free, I can go 50 point, then I'm going to roll a 47. It's going to happen. That's the way I look at it. Obviously, I've not really thought about it at all. I don't think I'll do a standing one. But obviously, I think I have to show my cards at some point. But, I've got the experience of being in the relays. I've done it for so many years. My takeover is always really good. I don't really crumble. I never flopped in a race like that at all. I think I'm the kind of guy who's very, very reliable. That's what I'm known as. And I feel like, I'll always give 110% to the team. I'm never going to let them down. But I've thought about it before. I've said, listen, I can roll 47 high, 48 low, put me in the heat and just give me a medal. That would be quite nice. But yeah, maybe we're something to talk about with Ryan and Euan. But right now, it's just in my head, it's just a 200, 300 fly. But if they need me, I'll be ready to go.
Absolutely. Is it, I know in the past, the US, at a training camp or a staging camp leading into a Worlds or an Olympics, at times we'll have a time trial where, anywhere from 2 to 6 guys will get up in a suit and swim 100 free just to kind of see, like you said, show your cards, see where you're at. Is that something like Britain would do? Is like, would a week or two from the meet, would you guys have some sort of time trial to see like, okay, this is who we might put on that prelims relay?
You know what? There's always been speculation of that with other swimmers. I think if they're not in good form, they want to see what they can do. We always I know our guys who are at the top level, so our head coach and performance director, it's about taking no risks. But there's always been that idea of people doing that, but it's never actually happened. And I feel like if I'm looking good in training and it comes down to the major meet, then I feel like I won't have to do that. But it's not something that I know. Obviously, I remember watching in Rio. It might have been like a US Olympic team vlog when they were on their holding camp. I did see that a few of the guys did like a 4x1 free relay just to see what they could go. But yeah, I feel like I won't have to do that. I can just say, listen, I can go 48 low. I can do this. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to jeopardize the team at all because I want them to win. But yeah, I don't feel like it'll come down to something that serious.
Fair enough. James Guy, Mr. Reliable, you've earned your spot.
Yeah, I feel like I have a little bit, but obviously I need to set the marker again just to say that I'm here. So I can do it, but because I haven't done 100 free in so long, probably since I think I went 48-1 rolling. That was 2022 Worlds, which is more than fine for a morning swim. So and that I don't train for the 100 free. I don't do it at all. So they know I can do it, but it's not going to be down in your 46s. It's just not going to be that fast. But yeah, that's where I am with that.
Yeah. I am a little curious as you've evolved, like you said, you have been on the British team for a long, long time, at least a decade now. You are Mr. Reliable in terms of relays and individuals. Heading into this, is this your third Olympics?
Third Olympics, yeah.
Going for your third Olympics. How have you seen your role progress on Team Britain, especially as it has risen very much so to prominence? It's like you from when you started to now where you're at, you guys are expected to win Olympic gold medals.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I look at it this summer, and I think because I've won the 4x200, not in an arrogant way, like it's the third time we've done it now. I didn't feel that excited. I know that sounds really, really bad, but it kind of becomes the norm. We set that trend in 2015, and then to do it again, 8 years later is like, yeah, okay. It's the Worlds and Olympics is completely different. That I feel like it's the same staff, same pool. All the swimmers are the same. The coaches are all on poolside. We know who everyone is. It's just the branding's different behind you. It's more televised at the Olympics. But the Olympic Games is the one you want to win. That's the big show. That's the big dance. And I feel like kind of going forward, my role on the team is just like a senior swimmer. Duncan made a great point. Obviously he's been around probably, if not the same time as me, maybe 1 or 2 years less, but he's very level-headed. And I feel like I respect him for that. Because we've just done it for so many years. And obviously Tom Dean as well, great friend. We just know that it's when we come to the meet, it's just being calm, being cool, and talking to the younger ones. I mean, it's like this year, it was some of the guys. It's their first Worlds. Cameron Brooker, who was at Bath, who's at Bath now, really great guy. First World Championships, and it's just about what I learned was my first Worlds, being in Barcelona, being in a lane with Ryan Lochte. And I'm like, oh my God, it's locked in next to me, being in absolute awe of him. And then, racing him in 13, racing him in 2015, racing him in Rio, and then doing photo shoots with the guy. It's just kind of, you just got to go there and focus on yourself. And that's one thing I kind of passed down as a senior athlete. But, I was just trying to enjoy it, because at the end of the day, this sporting career doesn't last forever. And it's about enjoying yourself, passing on your knowledge to the younger ones. And when you're in the finals, it's just enjoy it. Enjoy being in the surroundings of what you've got. And you swim for your country. You're over there representing your country in your events. And, that's a real honor to do that. And you want to do the best you can. And obviously you want to go there and win medals. That's the name of the game. And I feel like Britain has come on from that massively, where when I was a youngster, a lot of the guys would be like, oh, I've made the team now. And then they go so much slower at the World Championships or the bigger meet in summer, where now we're actually making the team as part one done, get back to work, and then move it on a lot more in summer and try and win the medals. And that's where I think what we've done is the last 10 years, we've kind of got that a lot better. So that's where I kind of feel like the knowledge that I've learned for the last 10 years is that I'm a senior athlete now, and it's about getting the process right and making sure you have your best swim of the season in the summer. And that's one thing that if I get that right and I know where I could be, then the medals will come to us. And that's the one thing that I think I've learned a lot.
One big hole for Britain this summer was obviously not having Adam Peaty there, who's also been a mainstay on the team. And I know a good friend of yours, who also been on the national team for at least a decade now. What do you feel like the team missed from just obviously not him in the water, but just having that presence, who's been so consistent on the national team for so long?
It's weird. Peaty's he's my best friend. Obviously he'll be at my wedding in probably the next 2 or 3 years. Talk to him daily. And I feel like obviously Adam has this massive respect of what he's done in the pool from the athletes around him. And also people listen to him about, how he's got to where he's got. But one thing I've realized with Adam is that he's very different to a Tom Dean, a Duncan, the way he is in his approach about things. It's just everyone's got their different aura around them. And I feel like Peaty, you can just sense and feel that he's missed. But when I knew that he wasn't on the team, I wasn't like, oh my God, he's not here. This is it. You have to, obviously control the controllables. And obviously I've been with him for the past, since 2013, 2012 European Junior Championships. We've been on a team since then. Obviously it's weird not him not being there, because usually he's always a given medal on day 1 and day 2 of the breaststroke. That's always a thing. 50 breaststroke, you win a medal. They're always guaranteed medals for Great Britain. But I feel like, with him not being there, we still, had a great summer meet from what we did. We had a great World Championships. And I feel like, obviously if he was there, then I think we could probably get a few more. But yeah, it's a shame, obviously, not having him there. But everyone kind of gets on with it, not obviously being a rude way, because he's one of my great mates, but we kind of can't control that he's not here. But he came for the last day. I think he had a speed event on after the meet had finished. So he came to the kind of the dining hall. So we sat down with had some lunch and that, and it's great to see him and see him in the evening as well. But it is what it is. But we kind of get on with it really, and just kind of say, this is what we've got, and we're going to do the best we can with it.
I don't know how much. I mean, again, you guys have a great relationship. I don't know how much you've discussed just what he's going through as an athlete, but do you feel like you've been able to relate kind of that from what we've heard, just that burnout, and that, you've achieved a lot, he's achieved a lot in the sport as well. And it's like at a certain point, is it like, why do I need to keep doing this?
Yeah, I feel like, with PT, he kind of lost purpose in what he was doing. He just wasn't enjoying it. He wasn't happy. And it's one of them things where, just need to kind of take a step back from the sport and actually realize, why am I doing it? What do I want to achieve? And, I feel like not to the extreme of where Adam was probably when he pulled out of, the trials and kind of them 2 or 3 months off. I just think he needs to find himself a little bit. And I feel that was all for me, was Olympic year. When I came back to Bath, I just kind of lost hope in what I was doing. There's nothing wrong with the program. I just feel like I wanted to change. I needed to get away from what I was doing, and just that change of environment and the stimulus for Paris. It's nothing ever personal. And I feel like I found that again by just being somewhere different. And when you're in the same place for so long, it does get a bit repetitive, especially if you're not getting the results you want to get as a swimmer. It kind of makes you not resent the sport, but it just kind of makes you a bit annoyed because you're putting your heart and soul into something. You train your backside off all year round, and then you're not getting the results you want. It can be quite frustrating. So that for me is kind of not to the extreme of Adam of not being able to compete, but I kind of say a similar aspect of not really enjoying it, getting more frustrated of what I was doing, and I feel like he's found his purpose again, and I found that kind of hunger again to find that kind of Paris kind of hopefully fast times that I know I can produce. And that's what I think that's what the sport's about. It's kind of having that purpose of why do you want to do it? What do you want to achieve? Here are the goals you want to set, and let's get to work and let's try and get them. And I feel like we've kind of both found that individually. And I've been with him for the past week in Loughborough. I stayed at his house. And we had a great week. It's nice to see the old Adam Peaty back. Excuse me. And we're having laughs, having giggles, and it's good to see him again because they're always smiling, just having fun with it. But I've noticed that when he's at the pool and we did like an aerobic set together, he was on the ball, he's on the ball, and I feel like people around him can see that, which is quite nice. So yeah, definitely Pete's on the uprise, and I think he knows who he has to target to try and beat in Paris next year.
That's great to hear. That's really great to hear. And yeah, like you said, I think he has had a big influence on the landscape, and now the landscape is kind of, starting to get up there with him. So it should be a lot of fun to watch that next year. All right. So speaking of, you mentioned sponsorships at some point, but you've been a FINIS athlete for a long time now. You wore FINIS as a kid, as a young swimmer, and now you're a sponsored athlete by them. Can you tell me a little bit about what that relationship has meant to you this far in your career, going on your third Olympics?
Yeah, I feel like I signed with FINIS, I think in February 2017. It was the best thing I did as an athlete. I talked to John, the CEO of the company, probably once or twice a week. And it's like being with a small family. I have a lot of ideas that I try and put forward to FINIS about, the suits, what they've created, and what they where they started off with the rival suit and the fuse, and now with the Hydro X, with the people that they've got on the team, and that you see a lot more FINIS around, is pretty impressive. It's all on poolside. The superstars wearing it. Cam McAvoy won the world in the 53 Hydro X. Like, the suit's there. It's the fastest I've been in freestyle individually in that suit for a long, long time. And it's great that you can kind of feel confidence in what you're wearing. That's the most important thing. The last thing you want to know is that you're not wearing a good suit. It's not being recognized, but now you can see that it's quick. And I feel like that for most swimmers is really, really important. But yeah, I feel like the way they design things, the smart goggle, there's no other companies that are doing that out there, in the world. Like, they're just not. There's always a reason of why they create these ideas and these products going forward. And I feel like they're ahead of the rest of the innovation and what they're doing. I've been to the head office. I've been where everything is, been where everything's made, and how it's designed. They're currently creating a new goggle. And that's one thing, like an actual racing goggle that looks really sleek and smooth. And I love being part of the team. I wouldn't want to carry on my career if I wasn't with FINIS, because I feel like I'm part of that, and I to give them something back with my results in the sport. And I feel like that's what I will try and intend to do going forward.
You mentioned a couple things that I am curious about. The smart goggle, first of all, I've tested this out, and it's pretty cool and really interesting. But if you don't know, for listeners out there, if you don't know what it is, FINIS made a smart goggle that tracks your laps, it tracks your times throughout the practice, and you can see it in the goggles. What are your thoughts on the FINIS goggle? Have you used them in training?
Yeah, I mean, generally across the board, I was using it probably before Worlds, and I've used it like just testing it, like for long aerobics, for ISL, and it's just like the good thing is that it actually works. These things, it's so simple to use. You press it, it starts. It press it, it stops. It's linked to your phone. You go to the goggle, you go to your phone, and it's the whole session of what you've been doing. Even like in the session, it will tell you your splits of what you're doing per 25, per 50, per 100. It's so creative what they've done. And I feel like any athlete should definitely try and look at that, especially if you're doing the long stuff, so you know what times you're going to be doing. Like tonight, the guys at Millfield had, I think some of them had 5 800s, and for me, I would lose my marbles doing that. Like I would lose my head. But this is something I'm going to say to the guys putting forward. Like, this is something I think you should really look at, because at the end of the day, you can see how fast you're going. If our coach is giving you a time to hit per 100, if you're doing it aerobically, you can see what you're doing. But yeah, I feel like it's I remember back in 2015, and even before that, there's nothing on the market like that now, like where the technology's come from nothing to having these goggles that can do basically anything. And it's so simple to use. So yeah, I mean, fair play to the guys. They've got a good brain behind the team.
Yeah, it seems a lot easier than like trying to take a peek at the stop
Oh
clock
yeah, I mean,
before every turn.
I still do that now. I think we did like a 400 on, might have been yesterday. It was like an RPE of 7, and like the first 100, I still looked at the clock. Like I still do it. I can't help myself. It's just that kind of just to see where I am. But yeah, I still do that. So I'm not the only one.
Yeah, but it seems like an easier solution. So it's a cool innovation to see in the marketplace for sure. I also want to talk about your personal life, because I think you just announced an engagement, if I'm not wrong.
I did. Myself and my girlfriend, now or fiance, got engaged on the 8th of August, over a month ago now. So we're in Mallorca. Been with her for 6 years. And yeah, so that was really exciting, and trying to prep the ring. I think Tom Dean knew I was going to do it, because he texted me beforehand, was like, have you done it yet? I'm like, mate, you can't text me that now. Like, she's literally next to me, and it was the day before I was going to do it. So I had to mute my WhatsApp notifications. But yeah, it was something that I wanted to do for a while. And when it's time, it's time. And we've we've got an idea of where we want to do it. We're thinking potentially of St. Paul's Cathedral in London. So yeah, so basically to get married there, you have to be either, I think, Order of the British Empire, so an MBE, what I've got, and some of the swimmers have. Adam's got an OBE or a Sir or a CBE, so that's the only way you can get married there, which is really, really cool. And then hopefully we're going to go to Mallorca, have like a 2 or 3 day like wedding there. So I think it's called civil ceremony, finalize everything over there. Obviously I've got invites from my friends from Australia. Obviously Kyle Chalmers will be one of them. Alex Graham, Matt Horton, they're all good friends of mine. Yeah, it's gonna be a really cool mix of people. But yeah, people keep telling me, when's the stag do? When's the stag do? My fiance doesn't want to know when the stag do is. Like, you've got to keep that quiet for a little bit. But yeah, no, it's an exciting time, and probably one of the best. It is the best thing I've ever done, asking her to marry me. I never thought I'd meet someone like her and ask her to marry me. You kind of dream of as a kid, who do you think you're going to marry, and it's her next door. So yeah, it's really, really nice.
Well, big congrats on that. I mean, that's
Thank you.
super cool. It's a big life thing. I'll be waiting for my invite in the mail. So just, whenever you get around to it,
Yeah,
I'll
that's
see
fine,
you in
mate. Yeah.
Mallorca. So just moving forward to wrap this up. Obviously you've got Paris in your sights, and
Yeah.
that's what this year is all about.
Hmm.
Do you have any vision for your career after that?
Yeah, of course. I feel like, I don't want to be like, after Paris, I'm done. I know a lot of the guys are going to do that, and obviously that's their own terms, but, I feel like I want to finish it on my terms. If I'm still swimming fast and I'm enjoying the sport, I'm living comfortably with finances, then I'll keep going, because at the end of the day, there's this aura and this thing about, obviously we're getting old now, and we're not like, Cam McAvoy just won the 53 at 29. Nicolas Santos is doing the 50 fly at 50, whatever he is. It's you can't, like, Phelps was 32 in Rio, like 31. So you can do it at an older age. But yeah, obviously I've got things lined up after swimming. Um, but yeah, I'll definitely carry on after Paris. That's something that I want to do. I'll definitely do Worlds in 2025 and just see and take things from there. But yeah, I feel like that's the way I think any athlete should do it. I don't want to be a washed up athlete who's just scraping onto the team. That's not the way I envision my career to end. But yeah, I'll definitely be fighting for them places in the next few years to come, 100%.
Do you have anything else you want to say or get out there?
Yeah, I feel like, for me, obviously the Bath change was a massive decision, but at the end of the day, I just want to say thank you to all of them at Bath. Obviously, I'm still around the corner. Like, there's a guy on my estate who's trains around the corner from me. Obviously it was a very hard decision, but we were like a family there, and obviously Dave was like a dad. Even Jol years ago. Obviously he's back in Australia now with a few guys over there, but I just want to give it one last shot, and life's about having no regrets and getting it right for Olympic year and dialing in, as Conor Dwyer would say. He did text me and say you've got to dial it in, and that's one thing he did for Rio, was get it right. So that's what I want to do this year.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.